Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 4 of Uncaged. My name is Mike Larkin, and I am joined by Daniel Crimmins as always. And joining us for this special episode is our RWT podcast brother and our brother in this lovely podcasting world, the one, the only, the dead RWT Paul Morales. And I'll quote Daniel on this one. Paul, why do you hate us? Because we're going to be talking about AWA Superclash 3.
Hi, Moses.
Hi, Moses. We're doing it. We're talking about it, which took place in December of 1988 at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois, with an attendance of 1,672 people and a buy rate of 45,000. Look, I have a lot of respect for the AWA and the Ganyas, mostly what Vern did and how the great superstars that came from there, like the Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, like the Jerry the King Lawlers, like the Nick Bockwinkel's of the world, like so many great people that we saw end up in the WWF in many different places. But damn it, this was the absolute shit. I felt like I was back in the day with friggin' Larry Zbyszko and Jake the Milkman Millman and all that good stuff, man. Paul, why? Fucking why? Like, I've seen AWA on ESPN when they started putting it up, so I'm familiar, but why? Why, Paul? Why? We'll start with that.
He hates us.
I wanted a different perspective. Like I mentioned to you guys beforehand. Moses Marquez and I actually reviewed this show, and if I had the sound bites of Moses, oh my God, Moses you would hear him ranting about every little thing. You want to talk about a 2-hour show that we did, and a majority of that was him critiquing every little detail that went wrong with it. I never said to you guys that this was the 5-star anything, but what I did is what I thought was this is kind of like overbooking, underbooking, and not booking right throughout this whole fucking show.
Well, when you do a 12 match show in 2.5 hours, and a lot of it is short matches. There was a match on here that was fucking 30 seconds, and we'll get to that one with I popped because it was the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Vine. I love the Boogie Woogie Man. All we needed was Big Mama, and we were right in the set there, baby.
You were right in the middle.
Oh my God, Big Mama loves the Boogie Woogie Man.
The longest match on this card was 18 minutes and 53 seconds.
Which was Jerry the King Lawler and Kerry Von Erich.
Because of course it was.
Because of course it was. But no, for me, I actually popped for the nostalgia just for seeing the guys like Lawler, Kerry Von Erich, like Wayne Bloom, who was the father of Von Wagner from NXT and the Everly Brothers. Seeing the Guerreros pop me. I love seeing Chavo Classic, Mondo, and Hector. But for me, it's just like I went into this and I was in the time vault to 1988. So I felt like I was in that time. Good.
Can you not acknowledge him?
What?
Cactus Jack Foley.
Oh, you're going to talk about... So Dan is the one that was like, why is he Cactus Jack Foley? Because remember...
I knew who he was. I know.
But Jack Foley, like when he was...
Acknowledge him, Michael.
I'm acknowledging Cactus Jack Foley, but let's not remember that he also was the J-Bron who got his ass kicked by the fucking Bulldogs. Dynamite Kid. Hi, Mick. And his fucking in the late 80s, man. And then he comes
allegedly pissed off the Dynamite Kid. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly he pissed off Dynamite Kid. Whatever. Dynamite Kid was born angry. God rest his soul, but he was a very troubled soul. Oh.
Look, like I said, when I did an episode of the Retro Rewind Cheap Pop #1, when we reviewed this and he asked me, why did you make me watch this? Why was this the one that you wanted to watch? And I said, because there were more people that you know as of today in that pay-per-view than any of the other ones that I could have chosen for the AWA. And this was literally their very, very first pay-per-view. Superclash, the original Superclash and Superclash 2 were just episodes of a show. They were never on pay-per-view. So this was literally the AWA's first venture into the pay-per-view market. And I think you guys said that they had like 45,000 buys.
Yep, 45,000.
And I think it was, and I believe at the time it was only like $20. So they made a nice little profit, but
$20 is $20.
$20 is
$20 is $20, and you do the math on all that. But my point is I did it strictly for the names because I didn't want to pick just one out of the pay-per-view, out of the shows that nobody would know. And we started off hot with some people that we knew, and you just mentioned him, Bang Bang.
Oh, we're going to talk about that now, Bang Bang. But I can see why the show was poorly received, and I know they added it to the network in like the mid 2010s. But I've also said this, and like I mentioned with like the Bulldogs, like Dynamite Kid and British Bulldog and the Mick Foley thing. Like we could say we want about Dynamite Kid, but those legendary tag teams that really accentuate and exemplify the 80s, like this is straight up 80s wrestling at its finest. And we'll start it off hot, like you mentioned. It's Chavo Guerrero, Chavo Classic for those later WWE fans. Mondo Guerrero and Hector Guerrero defeated Cactus Jack and the Rock and Roll RPMs, Mike Davis and Tommy Lane. The Rock and Roll RPMs, now fill me in on these two, just because I'm watching them and I'm like, I don't know who the Rock and Roll RPMs are. Do you remember the Rock and Roll RPMs?
You know what? I vaguely do because they were just like a fly-by night. I think they were trying to go along with like the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, all using all these little terms to, kind of hype up the tag teams. So I don't think that they were together very long, honestly. But I do know that they kind of sort of made their little name for themselves in the AWA, but that was pretty much it.
I think looking at this team for me, like if you look at the match in itself, really highlighted the lucha libre style that is the Guerreros. I thought the leaping drop kicks, there was a dive onto the floor from Hector as well as Mondo. So I really enjoyed like the style, the energy, the clash of styles with the aerial assault mixed with guys just going back and forth. The psychology was there, but I also think at the same time too, it shined a light on what would become the early stages of Cactus Jack, then Cactus Jack Manson, then Mick Foley. And I thought everything here was simplistic and fine. It was fine. It told its story and it really showcased its purpose. And I think Chavo Guerrero, classic Joe Guerrero Sr., doing that moonsault at the end to get the win. Beautifully done moonsault. And it really just highlighted why the Guerreros are one of the greatest wrestling families in professional wrestling history. So, Daniel, what were your thoughts on this matchup?
Honestly, I love seeing Cactus Jack. I will say he's somebody that Mick has always understood the assignment.
Yes.
You want him to be a good guy. You want him to be a jobber. Like, the mark of a good professional wrestler is someone that understands the assignment, understands what they're asked to do, and they get it done. He's always done that. And like even back then, which I think he hadn't been wrestling very long at this point.
No, I think he had just gotten the game. Let me see where Cactus started.
Like a year or two. I think he debuted in 86.
Yep, June of 86. You are correct. He was already 2 years in the business.
So still relatively new.
Yep.
I mean, nowadays, if he were to come in now, he'd probably be in NXT. Hell, he may be in the main roster because that's how WWE does it now.
Yes. But I think with his size and his stature, man, like his character was there. I mean, we got to see the Cactus Jack moves that we know, but he served his purpose for someone only 2 years in the business.
Oh, yeah. Like, back then, he was still, an enhancement talent. I don't think you can say jobber because it's enhancement talent. You're there to make. He was there to make the Guerreros look good, which honestly, it's a fucking Guerreros. They don't need anybody to make them look good.
And Mick Foley, you could even see he was still a crazy son of a bitch in this match because that back top he took on the concrete floor was just ow.
I've seen him do that spot a couple of times in different matches, and like even in the old days, those mats outside the ring are essentially gym mats, like high school gym mats, which
you hit them. Yep. It hurt.
It hurts.
Like even sitting on them, like there's like having been to. And I'll be honest, for those of you that don't realize, and you see celebrities that didn't realize it, they think that the ring, Logan Paul's even talked about it. Like he thought it was like, wasn't hard. Like literally it's boards and then gym mats.
Yep.
And then canvas.
And it hurts like a motherfucker.
Like Logan Paul's talked about, like he didn't realize until that first time that he took a fall, he took a drop, and he realized this hurts.
Yep. And I think with Mick Foley being so impervious to pain like he was, and just his size and his stature at the time to what he would then become, man, it was just a great sell job all around. Now, Paul, we'll ask you, rewatching this back, your thoughts on this first match?
I have the one thing that I do want to say about this match, and I believe, we grow up, we know what Eddie did. We know everything that Eddie, we know his technique. We saw it in the WCW. We saw it in WWE. Even prior to that, he was in ECW. Him running around the indie scenes. But we know how Eddie, everything he does in that ring. Now we get to see where he got it from, because you look at Chavo Sr., you look at Hector, you look at Mondo. Everything we saw in Eddie is everything you saw in his uncles and his brother. That's just it. And it was all beautiful. But I mean, I get it. It wasn't like the greatest fucking match, but it was a hype opening match for people to see and get excited for. Not that they got excited as the card started going along, but I get it. It was a good opening match. I thought they could have gone a little bit more, put a little bit more length, put a little bit more story into it. But hey, we got what we got, and it was entertaining.
And going on what you said with the Guerreros, I'll even say it. You talk about great wrestling families. I think the Guerreros need to be higher up on that list.
I agree wholeheartedly.
When you and Chavo Jr., I'll say it, criminally underrated.
Very much so.
I mentioned, with Mick Foley understanding the assignment.
Yeah.
So did Chavo. I mean, hell, look at fucking the Kerwin White gimmick.
Absolutely. He made that gimmick
work.
That shit work. Yes, he did. I think for me, watching even Chavo Sr., because I know later on, we know him as Chavo Classic, former Cruiserweight champion, and absolutely hilarious with his son back in 2004. And you think of Hector, you think of WCW. For me,
wearing Eddie's gear in WWE.
That too. And also the fact that we also got to see Hector as a part of LAX and TNA, which was fun for a little bit. But and Mondo also helped train a lot of the girls at Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, which we'll get to in a little bit with Pal.
I mean, we get to see Eddie's son every week. We know his daughter is coming up. Yep. Trying to get into the, starting off in the indie scene, of course. And of course, she wants to start wrestling. We see Eddie's son every week.
I heard it. That's why I'm laughing. I know what you did there. I see what you did there.
But it's to me, it's the nostalgia factor, because I love Eddie Guerrero. You guys already know that. Yep. And seeing his brothers, seeing his uncles out there doing what they do, it was purely beautiful to me.
Now, I got to ask you one more thing about the Guerrero, since we did mention his daughter coming up. Did you guys like Shaw when she was Raquel Diaz in NXT for the short time? Wasn't that bad. I mean, she tried. I didn't think she was terrible, but yeah.
Manager for the Ascension, which I think at that time it was Connor and
Graham,
the former Mr. Charlotte Flair.
Yes, and now the Mr. Camille, which AEW, get her back on TV, please.
Where is she? Get her out of catering. Get her on,
you have all these amazing women on that fucking roster. Do something with them.
Speaking of people who are on the AEW roster, that leaves us to our next matchup. It is for the WCWA World Light Heavyweight Championship, as Eric Embry goes head-to-head with a very young Jeff Jarrett. Wow, when he had hair, long blonde flowing hair of Jeff Jarrett and Eric Embry.
I didn't recognize him at first.
Really? Oh, okay. So he kind of
Jarrett. I didn't like.
Well, he had just started out too in his career. He started with his father and Jerry Jarrett and everything in Memphis. So I mean, come on, in Nashville and all that.
Ain't he great?
Ain't he great? Well, this match was fine. For the short time it got, it told the story of working over Jeff's shoulder and his arm. They countered each other with numerous pinfalls, and that worked nice to what we were telling the story about the arm, like I mentioned, psychology, and everything that went in such a short time. And as they say in anything in life, you make the most of your time. So Eric Embry wins the championship back by pinning Jeff Jarrett, countering because the shoulder gave out, and that was basically the match. It was simple. It was fine for what it was, and it served its purpose, much like anything does with the amount of time you get in professional wrestling. So, Dan, your thoughts on Eric Embry and Jeff Jarrett?
It was fun. It was all right.
It was standard.
You can definitely see where Jeff Jarrett would go.
Yep.
I've definitely seen better from him. I've seen worse.
I mean, I've seen Eric Embry before too, so getting to see Eric Embry.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre Deathmatch says what?
Oh God, don't do that. That was fucking horrible. That was hard. That went to hell in a handbasket, literally and figuratively speaking. But no, I've seen Eric Embry perform too. Like, I thought he did his thing. The character work and everything was good. It was what it needed to be. But this is where we started to go downhill on this card. And before we move on to the next one with how short this next match was, Paul, your thoughts on Eric Embry and Jeff Jarrett, and tell us a little bit about the WLWA Texas. I'm sorry, not the Texas, the World Light Heavyweight Championship.
You know what? All I remembered is that Eric Embry was part of,
a World Class Championship Wrestling, right?
Yeah, World Class Championship Wrestling. I mean, it has a very, very short lineage, I believe. I know that from the inception of World Class Championship Wrestling, I know that it had. I know actually this is his fourth time winning it, so I know obviously he's in that division, and obviously he's just a great wrestler. He was a great wrestler in World Class Championship Wrestling, because if not, he wouldn't have been featured as much as he had been, or given that title as much as he had been. I know he worked with Jerry Lawler and USWA.
Yep.
In his company for a while. I know he was one of the. Oh God, I'm trying to think of what it was. I know that he was the Southern Heavyweight Champion.
Yep.
The Texas Heavyweight Champion specifically for that company. So, I mean, I know he wrestled in WCW or the NWA actually.
Yes.
He was actually in the NWA for a longer period of time than I think he was in the AWA or World Class, for any lengthy period of time, because he was always like, either he was doing the jobber stuff, enhancement as we would call it now, more or less doing enhancement work, or he was, I believe later on he became a referee. So that's about the length of that I know. And of course we know Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett we know for a bunch of damn things that he's done. And let's just not forget that he's also working in AEW now. So
yep.
Dude, 40 years in the fucking wrestling business?
It's crazy. But I mean, you look at World Class Championship Wrestling from the Von Erichs to Freebirds, and like you mentioned, the Jarretts, like this was just prime territory and great wrestling nostalgia, like you mentioned at the top of the show. But I think with this match, like I mentioned, served its purpose, and it was great to see Jeff Jarrett, a young Jeff Jarrett, do his thing. I think 5 years after this, with my pop culture brain, he appeared in the movie Life with Mikey with Jerry Lawler in a mask. That movie with Michael J. Fox and Christina Vidal and Cyndi Lauper. For those that remember Life with Mikey, you guys remember Life with Mikey?
Yeah. No. Yes, I do. Dan's over there like, no.
Nathan Lane was in it. He plays his brother.
Anything with Nathan Lane, though, is good, though.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny.
I also think of the girl at the end of the movie singing the lullaby on Broadway, and he's like, yes, and I hate this song. Yes. Anyway, speaking of lullabies and not going to a Broadway, the shortest. You want to
talk lullabies? This whole fucking pay-per-view put me to sleep.
Well, you're kind of like, what's his face? Everything is going to be all right. Rockabye. Friggin' Sean Mullins in the 90s. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. We'll move on to the next match. This match was only 24 seconds long. It is the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant against Wayne Bloom. Literally, Wayne Bloom starts off from jump, and then Jimmy Valiant comes back with the right hands, hits him with a clothesline and back elbow smash, body slam, elbow drop, 1, 2, 3. That was literally the match. They were off the jump, just in there like swimwear. 24 seconds, the shortest match on there. But I got to say, I did pop because one of my favorite promos is the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, and Big Mama, and just anything Jim Boogie Woogie Man because he was hilarious. Paul, I'll let you start. What were your thoughts on the Boogie Woogie Man and Wayne Bloom?
This wasn't even that long, so it was just like, okay, well, cool. All right, we're done.
We're done. Yay.
It's like I was going to get up to go do something, and I was like, before I knew it, to blink, it was already done, and I was like, oh, so that was the match. But if you don't know who Jimmy Valiant was, I mean, he was a really, really great manager in WWF. He managed Beefcake and Valentine for a number of years. Then he ended up being a manager just for he managed both Beefcake and Valentine as they were individuals. So he had a great career prior to in the 70s and late 60s. So he was a wrestler. The fact that when I ended up seeing this one again, I was like, wow, I can't believe that he actually left the WWF to go wrestle again. And dude was wrestling in his 50s, and nobody cared. They were just happy that he was there and enjoying, the nostalgia factor for it. So it was quick, which you never want to tell a woman, but it was quick.
Dan, your thoughts on the Boogie Woogie Man and Wayne Bloom, one half of the Beverly Brothers? Go ahead, Daniel. We're waiting.
Wayne Bloom, dude, fucking sucked.
Yes, he did.
Like
his son wasn't that better.
No,
and
they tried.
They did. Like they tried to make it this
disproved the whole thing of, oh, you're a second generation, you must be good. No. I beg you the fuck not.
Honestly, it was horrible. Like, just to see, and don't get me wrong, I'm sorry that Von Wagner had gone through the health stuff that he did, and they made him the sympathetic babyface, but he just wasn't getting over. He wasn't. They tried, but nothing was clicking. I think when they had him turn on Kyle O'Reilly, it was just like, really? This is the guy that we're going to have heel and beat up on Kyle O'Reilly before he leaves? Really? This is the guy? But they tried.
This is the guy.
This is the guy. But no, Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, Wayne Bloom was what it was. It was just next. And speaking of next,
24 seconds, I'll never get back.
Oh my Lord. We do have to mention this. Like, they do a lot of the interviews with
reviewing that match took longer than 24 seconds.
Hey. All right. So I'm going to mention this because the match is coming up. The Street Fight Lingerie Battle Royal for $10,000. I just have to mention this because I popped when they cut to the back with Larry Nelson and he was interviewing Nina. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Ivory, because Ivory will be here all day. Gorgeous ladies are wrestling. The WWF, former WWF Women's Champion. I popped just to see her because I love Ivory. And the fact that she's in like 64 now and still looks amazing at 64 is just chef's kiss. I popped to see that. And by the way, I meant to say Lee Marshall. Hey, Tony. Like, you know what I'm saying? The one and only Tiger, the one and only Taste. Lee Marshall was up in the mix. Ray the Crippler Stevens. Like, come on, man. Ray the Crippler Stevens on commentary. I didn't even know he was doing commentary at the time for AWA. Ray the Crippler Stevens.
I love Lee Marshall. Like, I always love that dude. Like,
so underrated. Yeah. So underrated. Him and Nelson, him and Larry Nelson are just like so underrated for like commentators and just announcers in general. Like, he was to me what Mean Gene was to the WWF, because he was just always such, he had such that unique voice.
Yep.
And recognizable voice that people just love to talk to him. And they said him, like Mean Gene, are just like storytellers and would tell so many amazing stories.
Ooh, I will say this. The story was then told in this next matchup. So Iceman King Parsons and Brickhouse. Yeah. Okay. So
this one, I will agree with Moses, was the drizzling shits. This was a fuckery in this entire fucking match.
So they have a match for the WCWA Texas Heavyweight Championship. It was kind of slow. It was kind of plotting. And it was just to build up to the finish of Iceman using the Nux and the foreign object, if you will, for the 1, 2, 3. It just felt there to me. It was like, okay, we're building. Then we're going to it was a standard build, cut off, double down. And then it just led to, he's going for the win, that being Brickhouse. And then
the fuck was that haircut?
I don't fucking know, man. Which one? Brickhouse Brown or Iceman King Parsons?
Parsons?
Him.
Iceman King Parsons.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was known for that whack ass haircut. That's just how he was known. And I believe it was the same thing when he was in the NWA. I believe when he was in World Class 2 and the AWA, it was just his signature haircut. I never knew him with anything other than that. Even as he got older, he still had the same damn haircut.
It's almost like what Billy Ocean's hair was when he got older with the dreads and the gray, and he's still singing Caribbean Queen on the cruises. That's what it kind of reminds me of. There's a throwback for everybody. A little Billy Ocean up in here, Caribbean Queen. There you go. It was around that time in the 80s, No More Love on the Run.
Better that than Mississippi Queen.
Oh, Lord.
If you know what I mean.
Oh, God. Well, the going gets tough. The tough get going, goddammit.
Yeah, because she walked by me with painted on jeans.
No More Love on the Run, Mr. Paul Morales. God almighty. Daniel, as Paul said, the match was drizzling shits. It was just there, and it led to the foreign object at the end. Your thoughts on Iceman King Parsons and Brickhouse Brown?
This whole goddamn match was a foreign object.
Yep.
Like,
I go back to what the booking was and how you lay out this match. We're already 4-5 matches into this damn pay-per-view, and it's like, can't you just have a legit winner of the match and not just have all these little stipulations that little nuances that can happen? Like, why did he need a foreign object? Why couldn't you just beat him straight up and just be a champion of champions? Even if I don't care if he would have cheated as far as like rolled him up, held onto the rope, or put his foot on the rope or anything like that.
Right.
I just wish that would have happened.
I think what I will say about these two, like, of course, they're legends. I mean, we know the nostalgia that it brings us even from watching around this time period, but it feels like it's a match that's just all these matches that we're seeing now are just filler. Like, we had a hot start with the first one to open us up, but then we just filler after filler after filler after filler. It's like when WWE used to do that thing where they didn't have enough matches on the card, so they would add a matchup on the final SmackDown before the pay-per-view, or they would add a match that they added on Velocity, or they added it on Heat before the show actually started. That's what it kind of felt like. These matches, if it was on in the current day or after this in the Ruthless Aggression era, these are matches that you would see on like a Heat or Velocity, if I'm being completely honest with you there.
Even when they had Sunday Night Heat, like right before the fucking pay-per-view.
Yeah, like that, when they had a match. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had a match or had an altercation in the back, and then just like, well, you could settle it on the pay-per-view and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, we're on the pay-per-view, or yeah, we'll settle it out there.
It reminds me of Armageddon 2003 when they randomly added Matt Hardy versus Maven and Molly versus Ivory for the women's championship. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, they just had one little thing on Heat, and then we got a title match. Okay, sure, whatever. Speaking of whatever, we do get all right, it's a mixed tag team match for the AWA World's Women's and AWA World Tag Team Championships.
I was waiting for this one.
What convoluted fuck was this? As it is Wendy Richter and the Top Guns, Ricky Rice and Derek Dukes, against Bad Company, Paul Diamond and Pat Tanaka, and Medusa Michelli. And shout out to a young Diamond Dallas Page, who was just, the man on the mic was just amazing. Like, the skills that kills on the microphone. I thought he was great. I popped it when I saw DDP. I'm not going to lie. Because he just, he was just Bad
it's
Company.
The hair.
It's the hair. He was so cool. So they start off out of the gate where they're fighting, they're brawling. Everybody is on the mend. And I just got to say this because I thought watching Wendy Richter, obviously we know Wendy Richter from the WWF, Cyndi Lauper, the Rock and Wrestling Connection, the feud with the Fabulous Moolah, Spider Lady, if you will. Oh, God, that whole – and then she wound up going in the Hall of Fame years later. But I look at someone like Medusa, who around this time we've seen her go against the likes of Wendy Richter and the Sherry Martells of the world, and looking at just Medusa and just how great she is, then she would take it to her WWF and WCW runs. I thought, first of all, Pat Tanaka, shout out to Pat Tanaka, was just absolutely amazing. I love me some Pat Tanaka. And Ricky Rice and Derek Dukes, Paul Diamond. Like, look, it was fine for what it was, but the match was too doggone convoluted. And what the hell was this ending? Pat Tanaka, Medusa is holding Wendy Richter, and I think he like kicks Wendy Richter first, and it's like, whoops, I got to redo it again. And then he accidentally kicks Medusa, which I believe was supposed to be the spot. It just looked wonky as a motherfucker. And then Wendy Richter and Medusa. Oh my God. So, and then they kick her out of Bad Company, and DDP is like, I don't even know who that bimbo is. And I'm like, all right. That saved it for me because it was entertaining from the promo-wise. But what was that botch? I know Wendy pinned Medusa after the kick, but it's like he kicks. Wendy's like, oh, wait, we got to set this spot up. Boom. I felt like I was watching Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, WCW 2000, where Hogan's like, I got to gig myself first, brother. Okay, hit me with the chair. Like, what was the...
Oh, you got me, brother.
Got me, brother. Paul, I'll let you start because you were laughing as soon as I said it. I didn't.
It's like, how the hell do you have the tag team titles and the women's titles all up for grabs at the same time?
Yes.
Like, you couldn't have like two separate matches for this and like eliminate two matches that were like the drizzling shits. You could have had these two women and it being an excellent match between two amazing, talented women. But no, you ended up, here, let's just do this clusterfuck of fuckery and put them all in the same match.
I mean, that Savate kick from Pat Tanaka. Like, really, if you guys go watch it, that he like stops because he kind of hits.
Don't. But if you're gonna watch certain things, watch certain matches. Don't watch
the
whole damn show.
It looks like he Savate kicks her here, and then it's like I think Medusa didn't duck, and then she ducks the second time. Oh, it was just a botch finish, but I knew what they were going for. But I also have to say this too as well. I love Bad Company at the end. Where's our belts? Where's our belts? Like that whole fuckery afterwards. It was what it was, but it was a mess. Daniel, what were your thoughts on this matchup?
Just as an aside, just because, I'm a belt guy, I notice these things. The AWA tag title belts, those belts, that design has been used so many fucking times.
Yeah.
The NWA used it like 4 or 5 different times. WWE used it twice.
Yes.
I think they used it for the Hogan 84 and the Hogan 85. Both times he was the only one that had them. And now, it's currently being used at least twice. The NWA, of course, and AEW decided to use it.
Yeah, it's a common design for a lot of the wrestling belts.
Hey, I like the design. I think it's a classic design. Like, yeah, there are some designs that are just good and it works.
Well, we're gonna get to when we see Tatsumi.
It's like, well, hold on before you get to that. It's like the old WWF tag team titles. It's like you look at the WWE titles that they have on SmackDown. Those are like the most beautiful design for those belts because those are such a nostalgic classic.
Feel to
just the way the symbols on it flow, though that was kind of classic to me, and I love them. I'm glad they went back to them.
As long as we don't go back to the pennies, I think we'll be good.
Yes, as long as we don't go back to those.
We kind of got those on Raw.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I can see where you're going more with the Raw tag titles. I can definitely see that. But no, that's what also you remember. I love how you brought up the subtleties, intricacies, and nuances. Like some of those things when you see a certain championship, much like the AWA tag titles, it means something because it symbolizes the teams that we've seen in wrestling. And not these teams, but teams.
No, oh God, no. Which, hey, Rockers are former AWA tag champions.
The Midnight Rockers, Sean and Marty.
We have one of the Rockers who's a Hall of Famer. The other one will never be.
Is that?
I don't know whatever happened to him.
Yeah. Is that what you're going to make us watch next, by the way? As you said, the Midnight Rockers, Sean and Marty. We love to dance and we love to party.
Oh, Dan? Oh, yeah. Are you going to make them watch it?
You want to watch the Wrestle Rock Rumble?
Oh, no. I'm gonna find something. I'm going to punish Michael. He's
gonna watch you know what? If you guys ever want to do it, we could do the Chi-Town Rumble. Is that what it was?
I think so, yeah.
The one with Flair and Steamboat.
The one with Flair and Steamboat.
I'd watch that in a heartbeat.
Now, that one was a fucking classic.
That one was a classic.
Absolutely. They went almost an hour in that match.
What was the one? What was I think it was one of the Starcades. It was Ric Flair and Terry Funk.
Was that like Starcade 89? Something like that? 90?
Something like that.
91? Okay. But it was one of those. Paul will let us know.
But, you know, this whole show, you know, it's kind of appropriate, Michael, the sweater that you're wearing.
Sleepy, yes. One of my favorite sweatshirts, yes. It was.
Like, that's this whole fucking pay-per-view, people. Like, you know what? I'll just say that as an aside, y'all should be thanking us because we are reviewing this show. Mm-hmm. We watched this show, so you don't have to. You know, we are kind people.
We are. And I've made Dan watch a lot of bad stuff, but before we decide,
I will say this.
Yes.
You know, because I'm somebody that I'm always thinking of ideas.
Yes.
You know, and I think a future episode of our fine program here, which if you are not subscribed, you should be subscribed to us. Cheap Pop number. Actually, it's technically number 3. You should be subscribed to Mike's YouTube channel where you can find all sorts of wonderful content. But I think later this season, maybe next, we'll have to discuss the icon that is Eduardo Guerrero.
I think that would be a perfect episode, and we'll get Paul on for that one as well. One thing I do have to mention, since you didn't mention it. So, Dan, before we continue with the card here, if you had to say one of the stuff that we watched, and Paul also helped with this one, which we thank you, but we hate you at the same time for that, Paul. Which one was your worst? This one? The Great American Bash Show 4, December to Dismember 2006, The Girls Gone Wild Show, Triple H versus Scott Steiner, or Brock Lesnar versus Hardcore Holly?
Mike, it's not even close. It's this. It's not even close. It's very clear. Like, how is it? This is your first. I think this was their only pay-per-view.
Paul, was this their only pay-per-view?
I believe they did have one more after this. I have no, you know what? In all honesty, I really have no idea.
I think I read where this was their only pay-per-view. But if this is your debut on the pay-per-view, you should have had everything locked up tight. You should have had everything planned out, ready to go.
Oh God, yeah, there was.
You had. And it's not for a lack of talent because you had some strong talent here.
You did. You had legends. You had soon-to-be legends. Like, oh, by the way, there was one more. Superclash 4 took place in April of 1990, and it was main evented by the Trooper, who would later go on to be the Patriot, and Paul Diamond against the Destruction Crew in a steel cage match for the.
See, but if you who are the Destruction Crew? Do you know?
It says Mike Enos, who I know is Wayne. Oh, the Beverly Brothers.
Mike Enos.
Yeah, the Beverly Brothers. Oh, and then you also got friggin' Jake the Milkman Millman, Larry Zbyszko, and Mr. Saito. See, I was correct, though, because Larry Zbyszko was like anything I remember about AWA.
Wait, did you say Mike Enos?
Mike Enos.
Yeah, Mike Enos.
Mike Enos.
You know what? I was he one of the other Beverly Brothers?
Yes, that's what we just said. The Beverly Brothers.
I remember the dude was a fucking jobber in WCW, an enhancement talent in WCW.
Yes.
I think he lost to Goldberg like 10 or 12 times because, you know, they kept recycling people.
Bill Goldberg.
That's going to be another episode of our show here.
That's coming up. Cheap Pop number 4. So we'll go to the next matchup.
There will be, at least for me, like a 4-drink minimum for Bill Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg. So we'll move on to the next match. It is Greg Gagne, the son of Vern Gagne, against rugged Rod Garvin, for the AWA International Television Championship. The vacant AWA International Television Championship. Yeah. So this is just powder right out of the get-go. Just hard-hitting action in the ring, the 10-punch in the corner, basic professional wrestling and standards like we mentioned. And then they just fight to the outside, and then Garvin goes into the friggin' post, and then Greg Gagne wins by count out, and he's the television champion. Woo. That was literally it. He won the title by goddamn count out.
Michael.
Yes.
Put some respect on Ron Garvin's name.
Rugged Ronnie Garvin.
And also, let's look at some of his accolades, if you will.
Ric Flair in the cage.
Ric Flair.
In the cage.
If we look, he was a former one-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He was NWA World Television Champion, the Georgia Championship version.
Yep.
Multiple titles. But we had this bullshit.
Well, also, isn't this like 2 years before Ronnie Garvin fought Dino, or a year after when he fought Dino Bravo at the Royal Rumble? God rest his soul, Dino Bravo. Dino Bravo. There's another one.
Yeah.
I know. We saw the Dark Side of the Ring. If anybody wants to see an effed up tail, watch Dino Bravo on Dark Side of the Ring. Did you see who's also going to be on this edition of Dark Side of the Ring this coming?
No.
Big Boss Man.
Big Boss Man.
Ooh, that should be interesting.
Yes, it should be. Yeah, so this was another
Big
one.
Bubba Rogers.
Big Bubba. Yeah. We got to get Cornette talking about the scaffold on that one.
Stupid motherfucker.
The motherfucker didn't goddamn catch me. So
you know what? I can't find him against freaking Flair on a Starrcade.
If you want a laugh, WrestleMania 17, the gimmick battle royal.
Yeah.
Seeing Jim Cornette run out to the ring.
That was great. I'm not gonna lie.
Kind of like waddling, like.
Oh, it was not Starrcade. It was the Great American Bash.
Great American Bash. That's the one.
Great American Bash '89. That we'd rather watch that than this.
And you know, I will say this: Terry Funk gets a lot of credit for his hardcore shit.
Yeah.
But man, the guy could go in the ring.
But that was the thing. Everybody thinks of just he's the crazy old man doing the hardcore stuff, but I'm like, he can wrestle.
You egg sucking
dog. You egg sucking dog. So, Dan, you mentioned the bullshittery from Ron Garvin's accolades, but then we had this crap. Did you like Greg Gagne and Ronnie Garvin?
No.
Paul, you want to get your thoughts on Greg Gagne and Ronnie Garvin?
You know what? I really, really wish we would have gotten a better match from these two.
Yeah.
I really, really do, because I know Greg Gagne is a former AWA world champion.
Yes.
I also know that he's obviously his dad believed in him as a wrestler. So I know he did amateur wrestling. So he is really, really good. And so is Ronnie Garvin. This is one I wish they would have given them more time and given them more of a to do more with what they had, even if they did, because what it looked like they were just trying to pass whatever time they needed to do in this match. And I just, in my mind, for as great as both guys are, in the ring, I just wish they would have done more with them.
I think for me too, I concur with you on those sentiments, but it's like, I always think of Greg Gagne because he went back to WWE in the mid 2000s and he was like an agent or something of that nature. And I think he helped train people. But I always think of the story that Matt Stryker, Brian Myers, Kurt Hawkins, and all them told on a High Spots, developmentally speaking. And Matt Stryker was like, Greg Gagne, he used to show me like all these different things and how to do this and how to do that. And Brian Myers talks about the hilarious thing because he was doing a Hurricane Rana. He's like, what the hell was that? He goes, a Hurricane Rana. And then he was showing him how to do it. And because Greg Gagne, if you remember his matches in the 80s, it was that nice little flow, grace, and then the leg scissors, the Hurricane Rana that way. So it was different iterations of it. So I always think of that just because of like you can learn something for everybody and just the grace from those Hurricane Ranas. You saw Steamboat do it to Savage at WrestleMania 3. So there's different ways of contortions and just how to move your body when it comes to those maneuvers. But yeah, that's a random aside. But yeah, I just remember that because you can really learn something from anybody. So if you want to learn something from Greg Gagne, talk about damn head scissors, goddammit. But yeah, I agree with you because I've seen Greg Gagne and I've seen him against Bruiser Brody. I've seen so many of the things around this time period. Like he could have got more. And Ronnie Garvin's Ronnie Garvin. So I mean, hey.
Yeah.
Fuck. Anyways, we keep going with this. Yeah.
I've been saying for a while that I was going to get my revenge on Mike. For making me watch some bullshit pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I'm finally ready to right here, right now, announce what I'm going to make Mike watch.
Okay, sure. Hit me, man.
King of the Ring, 1995.
Oh, you're going to make me watch Mabel and Savio Vega. Okay.
The whole show.
That show was fucking bad.
which was voted as one of the worst pay-per-views of all time.
Okay, we get a
But
copy
it's
of.
okay. It's okay. I'm going to do you one better.
Yes.
I am also going to make you, because I'm not a complete monster,
Yes.
I am going to make you watch the infamous I Quit match between Ric Flair
Yes.
and Terry Funk from Clash of the Champions 9.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. Well, those will be future episodes of Uncaged. Absolutely. Freaking making me sick.
In what order am I going to make him watch?
We'll see. So we go on to the next match. And first of all, shout out. Vroom, vroom, bitch. Shout out to David McLean.
Yeah, exactly. Vroom, vroom, bitch. Sorry, I didn't think you guys were going to hear that one.
Yeah. Well,
Vroom, vroom, bitch.
vroom, vroom, vroom. So we had David McLean, who, by God, has not aged at all. He literally looked the same.
Can you believe that? Doesn't he look the same?
Didn't even age. I'm like, who is this man? Oh, now Daniel also was very critical about the promos from Pocahontas and Brandy May and all of them because it was 80s style and he thought the promos were crap. Daniel, you want to talk about how crappy those promos were to build to this match?
You know, I get part of the problem is we're reviewing this show, a show that's almost 40 years old.
Correct.
I don't like saying because I'm almost 40.
Well, you know.
No, yeah. Anywho, we are looking at a show that's almost 40 years old through a modern lens.
Yes.
We are comparing it to what we are seeing from WWE to TNA to AEW to whichever. And the fact of the matter is, it is almost unfair to do that, you know, because this show is very much dated.
Very much.
No kidding.
No kidding.
As I had told Mike, you know, in the lead up to WrestleMania 40, I watched every WrestleMania.
Because he's crazy.
All of them. And you can definitely tell they're a product of their time, especially the older ones, you know. Did they develop? Absolutely. You know, some of the later ones were. Then you get WrestleMania 9, which that was pretty shit too. Thank you, Hulk Hogan.
And 11.
Fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Well, WrestleMania 11 also ranks up there too. WrestleMania 11 was not
compared to WrestleMania 9. That was like one of the greatest of all time.
That really was. Go ahead, Paul.
But I think here I'll go off of what you said. That you look at how dated this is, and you look how old a lot of these pay-per-views are, you know, for these companies, and you see how much they changed. Okay, let's go to WrestleMania 1, the very, very first WrestleMania. The opening match in that was, I believe it was Tito Santana versus the Executioner #1.
Or was it Matt Bourne?
No, it was or was it Matt Bourne? No. WrestleMania 1, the very first WrestleMania?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Was it Matt Bourne in one of them? Matt Bourne, like doing the clown.
It was the Executioner.
Okay, you were right.
It was the Executioner #1.
I was
so,
wrong.
But all I'm saying is like that was not exactly a great opening match for the show.
No, not at all.
And then you start going through it. It's like you got King Kong Bundy versus SD Jones, and it was like 9 seconds of the whole match.
To be fair, Mike, the Executioner at that time was Playboy Buddy Rose.
Oh, that's who it was.
Oof.
But you get what I'm saying, though. It's like we could look at these matches and from one lens, from one perspective, and think, "Oh my God, it was so horrible. It was by God, it was the worst thing that we've ever seen." No, we've seen some worse things as time has gone along.
Oh yeah.
But you look at the opening match for that one. You look at WrestleMania 2. If I'm, God, I can't even remember what was the opening match of it. But that was the one where you had 3 locations.
Yes.
You know, and they were trying to do it from the Nassau Coliseum in New York, and they were trying to do it from the Horizon something or other.
Yeah, in LA.
No, and then the LA Sports Arena. So,
I mean, if you look at the opener, so the first match from the Nassau Coliseum was Paul Orndorff and the Magnificent Morocco.
Yeah, and that was a good match. It was you you had Orndorff, who was obviously a face at that. I mean, a baby face at that time. You know, and everybody was rooting for him, especially against Don Morocco, who nobody fucking cared for. Who used the name The Rock first?
Yes, Don the Rock Morocco. I remember. By the way, it was Matt Bourne and Ricky Steamboat from WrestleMania 1. My apologies.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is that I'll go on with what Dan said. Yes, we're looking at it from a lens of what we see today, as far as the standards of what we see in wrestling now, because we can bitch and complain about what like WWE does and what AEW does, TNA, you know, MLW, every other of these other companies that we see, we can complain about what they're doing and stuff like that. Look at this. Look at what we're watching here. It's the same thing. We can be objective to everything that will happen then, but to those people, it was very much entertaining.
Yeah.
I always look at it like this. First and foremost, I've always liked David McLean from the days of the powerful women of wrestling is what he had at the time, pal. Like literally watching this match, I felt like I was watching an episode of Glow or WoW, and WoW was still on to this day doing its thing. A lot of great women are on that.
I was not loud though.
I know what you did there. Oh my god! It also reminds
me. I didn't feel the glow.
I also remember that episode of friggin' Saved by the Bell, and Dustin Diamond, God rest his soul, is like, have you ever seen? They're like the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Come on, Zach, you don't want to fight. That was like the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. And of course, the Family Feud with them against WCW. Then you saw Hollywood and Sting on the Family Feud and Ray Combs. Oh, but no, I thought it was a good start for what would become of that, because WoW's still doing its thing. And David McLean is very legendary for booking of women's wrestling. First and foremost, before we get even into this match, number one, The Terrorist. We literally had a woman whose name was The Terrorist.
People, we're not kidding.
No, her name literally was The Terrorist. The Syrian Terrorist, excuse me. And I know a lot of these girls will go on to do Glow and many different seasons and variations. So, but why, oh why, before I even get into this, why was it a street fight lingerie battle royal for $10,000? Why did it have to be a lingerie street fight battle royal for $10,000? Why?
I have no idea. It was one of those things that you were just like, why is this going on? Why is what is this a thing? Why did they have to go into lingerie? And you can eliminate the women over the top rope. Yeah, and then you can disrobe them and then you could disrobe them and get them down to lingerie.
That was my thing. It's like
that makes sense.
You have two ways to win. You can either throw them over the top rope or strip them down to their lingerie. Why? Why can't it just be like throw them over the top rope? Like a normal battle royal, but whatever. So we then had the Syrian Terrorists defeat Bambi, Peggy Lee Leather, Selena Majors was Bambi, who would go on to be in WoW, Lori Lynn, Brandy May, Malibu, Nina, and Brandy May would go on to be Amy the Farmer's Daughter in Glow, Pocahontas, and the late, great Miss Luna Vachon. Luna Vachon before she was crazy Luna Vachon in the WWF, looking like normal Luna Vachon back in those days, but still had that creepy factor to her that made her who she was, and rest in peace, and we love you, Luna Vachon. So
exactly.
You knew from the promos and the fact from what they were doing with the powerful women of wrestling here, like you totally knew it was going to come down to the Terrorist and Brandy May, because literally that was like the only story that they built, because I said it in the pre-match interviews and when you had David McLean there, all they were hyping was damn Brandy May and the Syrian Terrorist. You knew it was going to come down to the Syrian Terrorist and Brandy May. So they did their thing. We saw women go over the top rope. Lingerie was coming off. But then the Syrian Terrorist eliminates Brandy May, and she wins the street fight lingerie battle royal and the $10,000. And it was what it was. And honestly, it was. And thankfully, we never saw anything like this again. So, Daniel, your thoughts on the Syrian Terrorist winning the $10,000?
You know, I used to think Vince was bad with some of his shit, but like looking at this,
Come on, man. Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson, friggin' the lingerie fighting there from King of the Ring 2000. Come on, man.
That you had a legit wrestler named The Terrorist.
The Terrorist.
Which just again as a disclaimer, this was a real thing. This actually happened.
Yep.
You know, if people, Google is free. You can go look it up. It happened.
The Syrian terrorist, nonetheless.
You know, this would not happen nowadays.
Oh no, my God!
They would have a shitty gimmick like that. I mean, hello, Muhammad Hassan. How are you doing today?
It kind of reminds
Yeah,
me
but
of
you look at the names. You got Pocahontas, which is obviously something that a lot of people would be like, "Oh my God, why would you want to do that?" To somebody, or why would you?
Yeah, Bambi.
And then Bambi, of course. We got porn stars out there, and we got all these women out there. With all these, a lot of these women ended up in Glow. We know that. We know a lot of these women ended up in Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling using these exact same names. So, or they did alter their names. So,
yeah, like
go
Amy
figure.
Well, God rest her soul, Trudy Adams, who was Brandy May, Amy the Farmer's Daughter in WoW, and Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Selena Majors, who was in WoW. Like, I remember when, by the way, if you really want to watch a bad pay-per-view, watch WoW Women of Wrestling's first pay-per-view. We may have to
No, I will not.
Okay, but we may have to do that. Like, if we find that, we might have to do that now. Now that I brought it up, I think that may be an idea. If you're going to make me sit through King of the Ring 95, you're going to sit through WoW Women's first wrestling pay-per-view.
Oh, come on. You made me watch some bullshit, Michael.
First of all, December to December 2006 looks like a cakewalk compared to this. Come on, man.
You also made me watch that bullshit. The other one you made me watch.
The Girls Gone Wild one? That was terrible. No, that was
yes, folks, there was a pay-per-view.
That last, it friggin' lost media. Paul, do you remember that by any chance? The Girls Gone Wild thing?
No, and I'm glad I don't.
Oh, God. They tried to promote that. This literally happened a few days before WrestleMania, one of their lowest buys.
Wasn't it WrestleMania 15?
19.
One of the other really shitty ones, which I think that was what was supposed to be Undertaker and Nathan Jones versus
Big Show and A-Train.
Which Taker was just like, no.
Well, Nathan Jones was terrible. Like, he really was. And they had to take him out. And he only got one spot in. He came out at the end and big booted the Big Show. Yeah, one move in.
Because Taker said, we're not doing this.
No, because he was terrible. He was fucking bad. Undertaker,
to his credit,
yeah,
very few times has he downright refused to work with somebody.
Mike Awesome. That was another one that he refused to work with.
Giant Gonzalez, which, again,
WrestleMania 9.
If you rewatch WrestleMania 9, and when Undertaker comes back out to the ring,
he looks so mad.
You can see in his face, he is pissed.
Well, isn't it because he told him to club him on the back, but he kept clubbing him in the back of the head?
On the head.
On the head. And he was like, dude, I told you to freaking club me on the back.
And Giant Gonzalez didn't last much longer, which didn't he pass?
He passed away like a few years after that, yeah.
But he was a big boy.
I was gonna say WrestleMania 19. Come on, man. You didn't want to see Stacy Keibler and the Miller Lite Catfight Girls?
No.
No. I love you guys. So we'll move on. We go from the Syrian terrorist to a true American hero. Sergeant Slaughter against...
Kurt Angle is on this show?
Hey, now. We go from Sergeant Slaughter against Colonel De Beers with DDP in a boot camp match.
And no, we are not talking about our good buddy Jonathan Beer.
No. Hi, Beer.
Hi, Beer.
We're not talking about
Beer?
That. What's up, Beer? We're not talking about that, Beer. We're talking about Colonel De Beers.
Beers.
So this match.
Rest in peace, Chris Farley.
Yes, I concur. Rest in peace, Chris Farley. Yeah. What can I say about Sergeant Slaughter and Colonel De Beers? Oh boy, it was a boot camp match. There was a baton, there was a belt, there was a headbutt with the helmet, and there was just blood coming from Sergeant Slaughter. It was what it was. Sergeant Slaughter would wind up making him pass out to the
biggest fucking chin in the world.
Biggest chin in the world. Cobra Clutch. That was it for Colonel De Beers. And then
match on order.
Then the post match happened, and we saw the Iron Sheik come out and absolutely mollywop Sergeant Slaughter. Adnan came out. It was what it was. It was another thing that was 5.5 minutes of just baton, belt, headbutts with the helmet, Cobra Clutch, and that's it.
I will say again.
Yeah.
Your first pay-per-view, and this is what you do.
So, Paul, I will let you comment on both of them since we both were how Daniel and I have our thoughts on these last two. What were your thoughts on the Lingerie Battle Royal and thoughts of Sergeant Slaughter and Colonel Beers?
Look, the Battle Royal was what it was. I mean, it was a gimmick match. Again, we go back to the gimmick matches that we've all seen throughout the years of stupidity, and we'll just go think about what Vince would have done in this. He probably would have had him wearing a whole of a lot less, and this was Vince before Vince. If that's any indication, this was Vince before Vince.
But David McClain was not a creep like Vince McMahon was.
That being true, David McClain was nothing like that.
I gotta say, just as an aside,
yes.
Did y'all see the video, the body cam video from the Vince McMahon accident?
Oh my God!
Yes.
Oh, it's my granddaughter's birthday.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's so true. You guys have not seen the body cam footage. Oh my God! It's my granddaughter.
Like, it's hard to watch this guy knowing that that's Vince McMahon. Like, really?
He goes, I shouldn't be. I've never driven this car before because it's brand. It's been a while since I've driven it.
I literally can't stop laughing. Oh,
like, you have him dressed like just a Joe Schmo, and like, oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Exactly.
And I hope that motherfucker continues to fall.
Yes, me too. Oh my God. Okay. So from Vince's awful body cam.
I'll pay you.
Paul, what were your thoughts on Slaughter and De Beers and the return to the Iron Sheik?
You know what? You would think with two excellent freaking wrestlers, and now we know how much of a gimmick Sergeant Slaughter is. We know Colonel De Beers is obviously one of those heel mercenary wrestlers and whatnot, but I just feel like they could have done more with this and got the excitement from the crowd into it, and it just seemed like they were like, oh my God, look at this, oh my God, look at that. Especially after the match, the rowdiness and confusion of everything, and the fact that the Guerrero brothers ended up coming out, and you saw all that fuckery that happened.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, what the hell is next? It was.
But the thing is, why the hell were the Guerrero brothers there anyway?
Because they came out because nobody came out for Sergeant Slaughter to help them. And then they came out to Sergeant Slaughter to help him. And then Sergeant Slaughter turns around and starts swinging on him and pushing freaking Hector. And it was like, what the hell? We're out here to help you.
Oh, God. Yeah. Why? It's just why. Speaking of why, we then go to our next match. It is Michael P.S. Hayes, and Steve Do It Cox. What? Do it, Cox? Really? So Steve Do It Cox and Michael P.S. Hayes. Fucking goddamn it. Michael P.S. Hayes against the Samoan SWAT team, Samu and Fatu, with Buddy Roberts in their corner for the WC.
Samu and Fatu.
For the WCWA World Tag Team Championship. Okay. First of all, it was so crazy seeing a young Rikishi in this matchup. It was awesome.
When he wasn't so fucking bitter all the goddamn time.
Wow. So that too, but also he was very.
Because you didn't have kids, and you didn't have to worry about them losing a match. And every time they lose a match, you bitches.
I will say this: seeing a young athletic Rikishi do his thing and Samu, that brought me nostalgia because of the Samoan SWAT team. Michael Hayes and Steve Cox. Now, of course, the Fabulous Freebirds, and I knew Buddy Roberts with them too. And apparently, did Buddy Roberts turn on them? Is that why he was with the Samoan SWAT team?
I believe so.
I was like, why the hell is Buddy Roberts with them? All right, whatever. But
I'll tell you why.
Okay,
he moved away from Bad Street USA.
I like your
That's
style.
why.
Thank you, Daniel. Now,
this is what happens when you move away from Bad Street USA.
What about
It's nasty and hot.
What about Steve Cox? What was it? Wow. What was it? Who is Steve Cox? Who the fuck is Steve Cox?
It was Courtney Cox's favorite uncle.
Stop it. Do you remember who he was in WCW?
And we all know what Vince
Shout out to friends. Shout out to friends. Shout out to friends.
We all know that what Vince McMahon likes.
Cox. Damn it, you people think this is funny? Oh, so do you remember Steve Cox, Paul?
I do not. You know what? That's the weird thing is I don't remember him. But if you guys, Dan's supposed to be the one that's looking all this stuff up. So if he knows who he is, I have no idea.
I ain't never heard of the motherfucker.
Me either.
Yeah,
who the fuck is Steve Cox?
I don't know, but apparently he left Bad Street USA and then lost Buddy Rogers or Buddy Rose and then what the hell is his name? Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Yeah. Apparently they left him and said, nah, you could just go over there with some Cox.
Go over there with the Cox.
I think he got evicted out of Bad Street,
Bad Street.
Which, just as an aside,
yes.
Looking back at it, how fucking cringy it was at the Fabulous Freebirds Hall of Fame ceremony and Michael Hayes singing the Freebirds theme.
Yes.
And everyone's just trying to play along and be nice, and they probably pulled the Jeb Bush and were told, please clap.
Wow, he went there. It's almost like when they tried to do With My Baby Tonight, nobody knew the words.
I knew the words.
I knew the words too. We all knew the words.
Hey, I bought that song on iTunes, just so you know.
It was on the WWE Anthology album, though.
Volume 1. Which, just as an aside, when that was first released, it was known as Full Metal.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Came out in, I believe, 1997, maybe?
Okay. All right.
Maybe 97?
All right.
Either 96 or 97, but I'm leaning more towards 97.
So, with the Samoan SWAT team here, like I said, it was great to see athleticism from such big guys and looking at a smaller, slimmer Rikishi. Michael Hayes and Steve Cox, it was fine for what it was. It was the setup tag team wrestling. We saw the drop kicks. We saw everything that was entertained. Steve Cox was just there for me, but it was really great to see what Samu and Fatu, what they would become with the Samoan family lineage.
And the Head Shrinkers.
Head Shrinkers, thank you, yes, sir. And then we had the finish of Michael Hayes hits the DDT, and then Buddy Roberts comes in with a chain or the chain on the wallet or something, and the ref is distracted, and then Michael Hayes gets pinned 1, 2, 3. He does the sell for like 10 minutes, and he's knocked out cold on the mat, and the Samoan SWAT team retained the tag team titles. This was what it was. It had a bullshit of a finish, but for what this match was, I thought it was solid, and I'm being nice when I say solid. So, Dan, your thoughts on the Samoan SWAT team against Michael Hayes and Steve Cox?
This whole fucking pay-per-view has a bullshit finish.
Yeah, but what did you think about this one? I mean, it wasn't bad until the end.
I remember being a kid and watching the Head Shrinkers and knowing how good they were.
Yes.
And I still say, I remember when Triple H was WWE champion, he had that feud with Rikishi. If Triple H was not such an egotistical fucking prick, that was the time to put the title on Rikishi.
What, during the I'm a bad man?
No. Before that, when he was feuding with Triple H, remember?
When did he feud with Triple H?
When he did it for The Rock.
I did it for The Rock. I did it for the people.
Shortly after H won the title.
Okay.
They had a match on Raw, if I remember right. There was a whole thing like they did a lottery kind of thing, like where whoever's name was drawn was going to get a title shot.
Yeah, I can see that.
And he got it. And Rikishi was crazy over back then.
Yes, he was.
Which, is kind of what Jay should have been. But you know what? Jay kind of, didn't rise to the occasion.
Yep.
Which I will tell you, folks, if you want to talk about, one of Rikishi's kids who has it, Solo.
Solo has been amazing with this Wyatt 6 feud and what he's doing right now. Oh.
I'm telling you, if you look at the three of Rikishi's 8 kids that are wrestling, yes, I did look it up. He has 8 kids. Yeah, damn.
Okay.
Well, look at Solo. He's got working 7. So,
Wow. Or isn't that Jacob? Jacob has like 7, I think.
Jacob has 7.
I think
Yeah, I mean-
Solo has like 4.
Nah, I mean,
Oh.
You know what I mean?
So, Paul, I have to ask
I
you.
I will say this. I will done. Don't cut me off, Michael.
My bad.
ooh, whoa.
Hey.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna exit stage left on that, Mark. You know what I'm saying? No, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say,
Yeah,
if there was ever a time to push Solo to the moon,
it's now.
like looking at him where he came from NXT
Yes.
to now,
Yes.
like the dude is so fucking good. Like the dude has talent. Like, and I think people are now starting to realize it. Like, you see what he has, where he's come from, where he is now. I could see Solo being champion.
I can do. Whew. So, Paul, what were your thoughts on the Samoan SWAT team against Michael Hayes and Steve Cox?
We go back to some of the runs that the Samoan SWAT team has had, over the years. We've seen Rikishi, when he had the opportunity. We've seen they were the headhunters, weren't they? Or the head shrinkers, right?
Head shrinkers.
Head shrinkers.
Yep.
But I mean, and Alpha was their it was Alpha that was their manager, right?
Yeah, Alpha.
Yeah. You had
And
you had
Obama.
them, yeah, you had them in the WWF, and they were excellent. We could see the talent that's there, and we know how over they were even as a heels.
Yes.
I think you had this match in particular, I thought was a little bit better than a lot of the matches previously.
Yeah, it was solid.
Yeah, and it was one of those solid matches because you had a lot of excellent workers that were in that ring. Not so much Steve Cox, because I have no idea who the fuck he is, but hey.
I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. But I just thought it was a good match overall, and I think the head shrinkers, the head hunters, whatever the fucking name, Samoan SWAT team, the Samoans. The Samoans. I mean, they're excellent, and we would see it as the years go along.
Speaking of something that was not so excellent, we then move on. We only got 3 matches left. So Wahoo McDaniel against Manny Fernandez, and Tatsumi Fujinami is there with the IWGP World's Heavyweight Championship.
Version 1. Get it right.
Yes. Thank you. It was one of those things like I did not expect to see Fujinami there, but he was, and he was getting in there with the Manny Fernandez. And Wahoo McDaniel, Indian strap match. I don't know why this was an Indian strap match, but okay. Apparently it's Wahoo McDaniel's match. So they just whip each other with the strap. They go around the ring. Wahoo bleeds buckets, and Manny Fernandez is whooping his ass. They're all going to the 4 corners. And then as they're going to the 4 corners, we go to the final one, and then friggin' Manny Fernandez just kicks Wahoo McDaniel. Wahoo McDaniel falls into it back first. He wins. And then it just turns into a clusterfuck afterwards with them continuing to brawl. So, Dan, your thoughts on the Indian strap match between Wahoo and Manny Fernandez?
It just seemed kind of random,
Well, yeah, because it was an Indian strap match. I don't know why it was an Indian strap match, but it was an Indian strap match.
And, Wahoo is another one of those guys where one of the greatest of all time.
Yes.
His stuff with Ric Flair is legendary. Flair will even tell you when he's not talking about himself.
Exactly.
That, some of his greatest matches were with Wahoo McDaniel. He says, Wahoo, Harley, Steamboat, Funk. There's no doubting that. Wahoo McDaniel, I would say, is one of those guys where he could hang with anybody nowadays.
Yeah.
Any company, WWE, TNA, AEW, New Japan. He's somebody that really was fantastic. I watched some of his Flair matches the other day, actually, and this match just felt like it could have been better. It's like the unfortunate part is you really you want more. We're in an era now where we can see everything all at once. Like, you can look up and just be like, oh, this happened this week, that happened that week. Back then, they didn't, you really had to keep up with it back then. Like, Paul, you and I, we're the older folk compared to Michael over here. We remember how it was back in the day when, you had to watch week to week. You had to, and whether it be wrestling or any show, you had to watch every show. You couldn't miss a week of anything, because if there was an ongoing storyline, you wouldn't know. It was like, wait a minute, why are they fighting now? It was like a family Thanksgiving event.
I feel you. Now, Paul, I got to ask you, seeing this back, and then Daniel, before I get to Paul, what did you think of Fujinami at the end, brawling with Manny Fernandez, the Raging Bull?
I thought it was great. I'm a big Fujinami fan, and I think it's criminal that more American fans don't really know much about him.
Yeah.
Like, the dude is fucking incredible. Like, I wish, like, if you could go back in time and bring the Fujinami from the 80s to now,
mm-hmm.
Oh, God, there's so many people I'd love to see him work with.
Whew. So
you can't tell me Fujinami and Will Ospreay wouldn't be fun.
If he was around today, I think it would be.
Yeah.
Give me Fujinami and Rollins, Fujinami and Reigns, Fujinami and MJF would have been fun.
Absolutely. I concur with you.
I got one better for you.
Hit me.
Fujinami and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Absolutely, brother.
Fujinami and Gunther.
Hey.
Fujinami and Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg.
So, Paul, your thoughts on Fujinami at the end and Manny Fernandez, Wahoo McDaniel Indian strap match?
You know what? It was, I think less could have been more.
Yes.
For this match. And I would have loved them to do a lot less, and you still could have managed to get to where you got to with where it was at, even with Wahoo McDaniel fucking bleeding like he was a stuffed pig.
Yep.
You still could have accomplished what you needed to with this match, and it could have been thoroughly enjoyed. Fujinami at the end was just one of those random people to be out there, but I get it. You want somebody, unless you know about New Japan and you knew about what was going on at that time, that would have been something that a lot of people probably didn't even know. The people in Chicago probably didn't even know who the hell he was, unless he showed up in the AWA or even in any other company prior to this. I mean, I don't even know what the hell the schedule was of the New Japan at that point in time, but still, him being there, you get the little interaction between him and Manny Fernandez. It was cool, and for the time, it was cool. I liked it.
It worked for the 80s and it worked for that time period, like you mentioned. And I think it was a nice little flavor, if you will, to really get the Japanese talent, the international talent on American soil and be featured in that realm. So I got to ask you next one, speaking of being featured, before we get to these two matches, I got to say, we talk about people looking the same. We mentioned David McLean, Bill Apter, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, giving Jerry Lawler the Inspirational Award of 1998. I thought that was cool. It was great to see Bill Apter. I popped. I didn't even know he was there. I thought that was very nice. That was a nice
but prior to this, I didn't even remember who the hell he was up until then. It took me not in this one. When I did it with Moses, I had no idea it was him until I got into reviewing it, and I was like, oh god dang it.
Yeah, we got a Bill Apter and a David McLean sighting on this freaking
show, exactly.
Which was cool. And we mentioned Jerry Lawler. Now here comes the match. It was Jerry the King Lawler versus Kerry.
By the way, people, when he mentions a McLean sighting, he's not talking John McClane.
We're not talking John McClane.
We're not talking about John McClane. So we go to Jerry Lawler against Kerry Von Erich in a title unification match for the AWA and WCWA World Heavyweight Championships. When I think of Jerry the King Lawler and Kerry Von Erich, you're going to get some good stuff. It was a basic match. Started off slow. They both worked over each other, went to the outside, they fought. It was something that really built to the suspense of what we would get within the finish. Jerry hit the pile driver, Kerry hit the pile driver. There was a ref bump, and they were just Jerry Lawler was mollywhopping, mollywhopping, mollywhopping. The fist drop, mollywhopping, mollywhopping, mollywhopping. Kerry comes back, and then mollywhopping, 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 and then Kerry goes for the claw. There's that friggin' strenuous, okay, I'm going to escape the claw. Then he's got him back on the claw, and then the ref's checking his eye because friggin' Kerry Von Erich's busted open from all around in his eyeball, everything. He's the proverbial crimson mask. He was bloodshed galore. And so the ref's looking at his eye, and then he's got Jerry in the claw, and then the bell rings, and you're thinking, oh my God, Kerry Von Erich, let's fucking go. No, Jerry Lawler retains because due to referee stoppage, because he was concerned about the eye, and Jerry Lawler becomes AWA champion and WCWA World Heavyweight Champion in the title unification. Besides the finish, I actually like the match because I like Kerry Von Erich, and I like Jerry the King Lawler from this time because it's legendary status. But except for the referee stoppage, I thought the match was fine. It was a good brawl to really heighten the suspense of their feud during the 80s. So, Daniel, your thoughts on Jerry Lawler and Kerry Von Erich?
Fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Puppies!
What'd you think of the match, man?
No, Dan, tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, I had to quote the King.
I know.
Kind of predictable.
Yeah.
It would be as if you were to have a title unification between Drew McIntyre and MJF, and you had it on a WWE show.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have the AEW guy go over.
No, you would have the WWE guy go over.
Jerry was the hometown guy. It's just what it was. He was the AWA champion. Made sense. Now, would I have liked to have seen Kerry Von Erich go over? Absolutely. Which I was always a big fan of Kerry Von Erich. Loved him when he was in WWE as the Intercontinental Champion, by the way.
Texas Tornado, baby.
By the way, folks, if you have not seen the biopic, the Iron Claw movie, great movie.
Zac Efron.
Highly underrated. I think when that came out, both companies, both WWE and AEW, missed the boat. I think you easily could have had Zac Efron, do like a Royal Rumble spot, a Casino Battle Royal kind of thing. I think it missed opportunity
to promote the movie. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Jerry's one of those guys where unfortunately most average fans only know him as a commentator.
As the comedy, the puppies.
That guy. Us old folk, Paul and I, we know him as one of the greatest villains of all time, which Andy Kaufman, we remember that.
Yep.
And Jerry will even tell you, he was one of those guys who great as a heel. He was also somebody that, given the circumstances, got over as a heel, as a face.
Yep.
Specifically, I remember his feud with The Miz when Miz was WWE champion.
That was great.
I remember the TLC match, which in his 60s
was doing a TLC match
with Miz, and I remember you honestly thought
he was going to win.
Oh my God, he's going to do it.
Yep. And then that damn Michael Cole.
That damn Michael Cole.
Even the match that they had at that Elimination Chamber.
Oh, yeah. Which, honestly, personally, I still think that the match they had on Raw, Jerry Lawler should have won that match.
It would have been something, just for one time.
I would have, if, we talk about revisionist history, I would have had Jerry Lawler win the WWE title that match.
Yep.
You easily could have had Miz get the title back.
Yeah, at the Rumble or the Chamber, absolutely.
And it's Jerry. We talk about the greatest of all time, and Paul, you can back me up on this. You think that 80s, you think Hogan, Savage, Warrior, Flair, people like that. I don't think as a wrestler, I don't think Jerry Lawler gets enough credit. And, you talk about the Von Erich curse. Kerry Von Erich is another one. I don't think he gets enough credit.
Yeah, because I just think of, the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, but also as a singles wrestler, he was amazing. And they always think of just the Von Erich troubled family in the past. But I'm just like, they don't look at Von Erich as a wrestler. They just think, oh, the Von Erichs. But they are one of the greatest wrestling families ever.
Which, just as an aside, Fritz actually used to live near me.
Really?
That's awesome. For a period of time, he lived in the Buffalo, New York area. He and his wife, it's Fritz Von Erich was not always the best father.
Yeah,
there were stories about him.
Yes.
And I think, I would compare them to the Jackson family.
Ooh, okay.
You have a very strong, domineering father.
Now, on a side note there, are you going to go see the movie in April?
The Michael Jackson biopic?
Yes.
I kind of want to. Like, I saw the trailer, and at first I thought, well, it kind of sounds like Michael Jackson, like they're just, dubbing over, for the music.
Nope.
But then I looked it up, and it's Jermaine's son, Jafar.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's actually doing the music. And I saw a video. It was like a Christmas concert they did years back. He sounds just like Michael.
That's why I'm really looking forward to.
He's got that higher pitch, that falsetto voice.
Yeah.
Maybe it looks like a great movie, and I know it's done by the same people that did the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, which I was not a fan of because I felt like that glossed over who Freddie Mercury really was.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to do that with this. It's shown that, hey, Michael didn't have the best childhood.
I mean, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, so Jackson's an American dream. Like, come on now, man. Like, if we could do something like we had there with this, I'm cool with it.
I'll give it a chance. It's biopics have always been good. I always compare them to Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix.
Walk the line.
Which Joaquin is a crazy bastard because the dude actually went into Folsom, to give them a concert, and there were guys that were there when Johnny performed. They're like, this guy's good. Like he's got it.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Now, Paul, as we get on ours, my opinion, your thoughts on Jerry Lawler and Kerry Von Erich and the eye bleeding.
You know what? I have to. I know that we could probably all agree on this. Vince dropped the ball on Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah, he was just Intercontinental champion,
and he was just Intercontinental champion. He didn't allow Kerry to do what he did in World Class Championship Wrestling. He didn't allow him to become as popular as he did. And we're not just talking about the state of Texas. We're not just talking about the Sportatorium, because that man was well known around the world and all up and down the United States. You knew the Von Erich family. And the fact is that Vince didn't take advantage of it. Vince didn't do anything with it because for whatever reason, he didn't want to. Of course, we knew that he had Hogan, and he had the Ultimate Warrior, but he wasn't going to let Excel, kind of propel him into that status, which sucks, which really, really sucks, because he was such an excellent wrestler.
Right, and that's the thing too, that he just saw him as that mid-card character, and like you mentioned, it was just he could have gone farther. He wasn't like what we saw WCWA Von Erichs and Freebirds, or just carry that white face.
To be fair,
again, it's not like you didn't know. You can't very well live in this bubble of you only know so much. You can't.
Right.
At the time though, with Kerry Von Erich,
yeah,
he was not in a great headspace when he was IC champion. knowing the history, it's sad, you know.
Very much.
And he's somebody that I know he had lost his part, the lower part of his, like, I think it was like just above the ankle,
Yes.
and he was afraid that fans would find out, and nobody knew. And back then, they were on the road a lot more than they were now.
Very much.
It was normal for them to wrestle like twice a day, and then like the afternoon, then they would go to like, 2 or 3 towns over, wrestle again at night. And then it's beyond tragic, because I think now, maybe somebody could have got him some help. And if he were out there now, but then again, you also have to look at Fritz von Erich and who he was.
Yeah. If you don't know, I mean, go watch the Iron Claw. That'll tell you a whole lot more of what everything that they had to endure.
Look at interviews of people who wrestled the AWA, or not the AWA, the WCWA back then. We're around Fritz, and we're like, he was hard on us. He was even worse on his boys.
Yeah.
How many of them are still alive now?
Just Kevin.
And even he has said, like, their dad was abusive.
I think what also they talk about too is, I think, didn't WWE did a nice little thing on the Von Erich family. They did a World Class Championship Wrestling documentary that also told a lot.
I think it was called like the Rise. Wasn't the Rise and Fall?
No, that was the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior.
It was something about the curse of the Von. There was something about the Von Erich curse.
Yeah, or the Rise and Fall of World Class, or something like that.
I think that was it.
Whew. Well, speaking of Rise,
I could state this for a fact. Jerry Lawler in that time period was a great wrestler. You could even go back to the late 70s, early 80s with him and Larry Zbyszko for that AWA title. And that was a really, really excellent rivalry for them too. Him and the fact that we could even go back to Jerry Lawler and everything that happened with him and Andy Kaufman.
Oh my God!
That little interaction and everything that happened. And what's interesting is that I agree with Dan in that. I agree with both of you, because Jerry Lawler doesn't get enough credit for what he did in the wrestling industry at that time, even in the 70s and the 80s. He just doesn't get enough credit for what he did, for carrying companies that nobody wanted to go to, nobody wanted to be at. And the people that were there, we know that the Junkyard Dog went through there. We know that Hacksaw Jim Duggan went through there. We know a bunch of well-known names that came into WWF started off in the AWA. One in particular was one Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan.
Talk to Hulk Hogan,
who was in who was in the AWA prior to him coming to the WWF, and who was in the AWA when he made that cameo for fucking in Rocky 3.
Yep.
When he became Thunderlips, and they were telling him, "Oh, this is going to break your career. Why are you going to want to do this?"
Yeah, didn't WWF fire him for that, right?
And then WWF fired him, but still, Lawler doesn't get enough credit, and Kerry Von Erich, he was just ahead of his time. For as flamboyant as that man was, and as excellent as he was, just as a character himself, being a sex symbol for himself, and the women throwing themselves at him, dude was everything that you want a wrestler to be. In like even today, you want women to be able to look at him and say, "Oh my God, I love that guy. Oh my God, he's so handsome." Why, throwing themselves at them. And believe me, if you watch the Iron Claw and how those women were coming after him, oh God, all of them.
Yep. Whew. Speaking of women coming for you, besides Kerry Von Erich and the wrestlers of the 80s, we also have to go to our final match. So we are at the end of this show.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But We do
But
have
but that last match should have been the closing of the show.
Oh, yeah.
That was the other thing.
No.
That should have been the closing of the show. If you were going to put this last match before it, it would have been fine. But that Von Erich and Lawler match should have closed the show.
So they closed the show, not with that, much like Paul and Dan said. You would think that'd be in the main event. No, it wasn't. The main event was a tag team match between the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, against the stud stable of Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden with Miss Sylvia. Yeah. So this was just, it was what it was. It was a brawl in the ring.
And the fact that how they ended the fucking match.
We're getting there. It was a brawl around the ring. They did some stuff in the ring, and then they kept brawling. Then it's like, this match is a double DQ. Good night, everybody.
Again, I said it from the start. Bad fucking booking throughout this whole fucking thing.
Double disqualification. There was a brawl, and then good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. You can go home now. What, I had a good show, and Lee Marshall and was over there trying to
freaking hype it up.
Yeah, they're trying to like, okay, well, this is a good show. Okay, well, we have to do this again next year, and blah blah blah. And it was like,
no. But yeah, I'll ask you, Dan, first before I get the Paul. Your thoughts on, well, besides how ridiculous this main event was, but what were your thoughts of the brawl that lasted 8 minutes that went to a double disqualification?
This is not how you end a fucking pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Back in the day, for those of you young bucks who, and not AEW young bucks, we're talking about young kids.
Yep.
For those of you who maybe don't remember, maybe a certain chuckle fuck, you're
never gonna let it go.
Hell no, fuck that guy. But for you younger fans, back in the day, you only had, like WWE, for example, used to only have Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series.
Right.
Back then, the pay-per-views were your blow-off, like definitive pinfall or submission. To end it on a double disqualification, you don't do that, which to me, this whole show seemed like two bookers who were trying to both book the same show, and everyone else is like, well, who do we listen to? Do we listen to this guy? Do we listen to that guy? Like who's in charge here? Like, okay, we'll back this guy. We'll do his finish.
Yes.
Like the matches that they had, I feel like could have been better if the finishes had been tweaked.
I would agree wholeheartedly on that.
I'm glad you came to that conclusion, because that was pretty much the exact same thing I was going to say. Had each match had a definitive conclusion, you didn't need a bunch of DQs or a bunch of interference calls, or you didn't need ref bumps. You didn't need objects being in the ring and using them against everybody, because look at how many of these matches, and I believe it was 3 the last I count, where somebody used a foreign object in the damn match.
Yep. It was the tag title match, Iceman King Parsons, and then
the freaking Jerry Lawler
match. Yep.
Because he kept using the brass knuckles, which is the same thing that
Parsons.
Yeah, Iceman King Parsons was doing too. So I go back to, had you just had a legitimate we could say Kerry Von Erich and Jerry Lawler should have closed the show.
Yes.
That should have been the one where everybody went home happy, even if it was
the finish.
I think it would have been better had Lawler pinned him
with the pile driver,
as opposed to with a pile driver, had he pinned him, as opposed to how it ended.
Right.
And then of course you get the next match, which is the last match, and you end it with a double disqualification, which made it absolutely no sense at all. Because now you just pissed off a lot of the crowd who were there and wanted to see some excitement, and they should have gone home with some excitement. They should have had it. If anything, they should have had the Rock and Roll Express go over and win. That's it. But if I would have, if we could have done this whole pay-per-view and reworked it and rebooked it to where we knew what should have happened and what could have happened, it probably would have been a hell of a lot better.
I agree. So I will say this, watching this, thank you, Paul, watching this for 2.5 hours, which the first 30 minutes I slept through, and then I had to rewatch the last 2 hours. Not gonna lie, it happened. I got.
I could see by your shirt. I could see by your pullover. That's exactly what you were doing.
Oh, dude, I got through like the first 4 matches, and after Iceman King Parsons and Brown there, friggin' no, I was done. I was out. I was out cold after friggin' Brickhouse Brown and fucking Iceman King Parsons. I couldn't take it. But no, then I got to after that, and still, for what it was of the time, I could see why it was poorly received. It is on the WWE Network. I'm sure it's on Peacock. But God almighty, this show was a cluster. And all in all, thankfully, we got to watch. And I'm thankful I got to watch it with the two of you because, yeah, it was something. It was something. And we hope you...
Sorry, Moses, I know. See, look, I wanted to get some other opinions other than yours. But
I wasn't as critiquing it as much as Mo did. I just was like, yeah, whatever. I get this.
At least Dan was along the line of fucking what happened with Moses. So, hey.
You know, alcohol didn't even make this show good.
Well, we do have shows that make it good, and this has been entertaining, as we always do, folks. So our next episode, for episode 5 of Uncaged, the last episode will be out before this one. As the last episode, we touched upon AJ Styles. This one, we did AWA with our good friend, Mr. Paul Morales here, RWT Dead Man. And we will be back with more with Paul on the RWT podcast, and we'll have Paul on more episodes. But the next episode that we are going to do, Daniel, are you ready for this next one?
I am indeed. What do we have?
The history of the Bullet Club.
Live.
It's for life.
So that will be our next episode. And y'all, we appreciate y'all listening to this. Thank you for taking this trip down memory lane with us. And we'll be back next week. RWT, you're welcome. Thank you. That's all right. So we'll be back for the RWT podcast doing our Elimination Chamber predictions next week. The new episode is out right now. So go out of your way and watch this. And this will be out as well.
Not this pay-per-view. Not
Superclash. Not this.
Don't watch that.
Don't watch this one. But we'll put the link in the description below if you actually do want to go watch it. We will watch it because you don't have to. But if you really want to, sure. Here's a link.
But, you know, I will say this. If you choose to watch this show, Superclash 3,
yes,
do not come back at us and just say, why did you make us watch? We did not make you watch this. We gave you the out. We watched it so you didn't have to.
Yeah. And because
we watched it so you didn't have to. That's what we did.
And because Paul sent us the link. That's also why. No, I'm kidding.
You're welcome.
So Paul, where can we follow you on the social medias? The floor is yours.
Name is right there, the Dead Man of RWT. Of course, you can find me on the RWT Facebook page. You can find me, my link tree down below in the description, and it'll have you links to all of my social medias where you can find me and all these two gentlemen over here on our awesome show every week on the RWT podcast. And of course, Mr. Daniel Crimmins, the podcast general, my brother from another mother. Where can we find you?
Pundit is currently uploading as we speak.
Woo!
That should, if YouTube decides to, cooperate, we love YouTube. YouTube is great. Mike, you got to do the Christian. You got to do the... It should be up, hopefully, within the day. Hopefully, I'm really hoping. Got some really cool stuff coming. I actually did one just today, which kind of reimagining the invasion storyline and how I think it could have been tweaked.
All right,
and not instead just a burial of WCW, which is what we got,
and ECW.
But hey, you'll have to stay tuned. We got some stuff coming. Mike and I, we got some more shows coming. As Mike mentioned, we have the history of the Bullet Club coming up. We just, as he mentioned, recorded our phenomenal show on AJ says, where we also mentioned the we nominal AJ Swaggle.
Fucking Hornswoggle and his we nominal one.
Hey, show him some respect.
I will give him all the respect in the world, but we nominal.
That's Hornswoggle McMahon to you.
Stop it. Stop it.
No, I will not.
Yes, you will.
Oh, stop.
We got the Deadman, RWT, our good brother, who, we had a blast with. We got the RWT podcast, which we kill it every fucking week. If you aren't subscribed to that and you don't watch it every week, what are you even doing?
Please do. Even if you're a chuckle fuck, watch it. Watch it.
Fuck that. Fuck that chuckle fuck.
So, with that being said, if you want to follow yours truly and all of us here, it's S&M Network shows on the YouTube channel. You get the RWT podcast, all 6 seasons of Uncaged, Deep Into the Heart of Wrestling with Rob and Nicola and I. You get the LFC podcast. You get On the Mic with Mike. You get the Steve and Mike show and much more. And if you're on Twitter, it's SM Show 1 or MCL92. If you're on Instagram, it's Larkin_92 and MLarkinMB. And, of course, SteveandMikeShow.com and LFCfights.com. Y'all, we took a trip back to 1988. Now we're back in the year 2026. And our Superclash, it was super ass. But, well, we enjoyed it. Super shit. Super ass. Super shit. But, Paul, we thank you for this recommendation because it was fun being entertained with this. So, for Paul Morales, for Daniel Crimmins, my name is Mike Larkin. We'll see you in the next episode of Uncaged, and we'll see you here more.
Bye, guys!
On the S&M Show Network, YouTube page, channel. See you later.